Everyone. I know it's getting late in the evening time, but I'm sure my East Coast is up just as well as my West Coast. Okay, let's go ahead and go into a topic that a lot of people like to talk about, and that is disputing your credit report. Okay, so we're going to go over some things that a lot of people actually don't know or skip over when they are disputing items on their credit report. Okay, and I want to make sure you guys got your notepads out and things of that sort. So the first thing we're going to go into, do credit disputes affect your credit score? Okay. So the answer is yes and no, but it depends on why you are disputing and what you are disputing and what that time frame is going to be. So let's talk about it. So disputing itself, the act of going to an account, disputing that account, whether you do it online, whether you do it over the phone, whether you do it via fax, whether you do it via mail, which I think is the safest way. No matter which way you actually do it, it depends on necessarily like how you like if you dispute something. I want to say this as easy as possible. If you dispute something, the act of disputing it will not hurt your credit score in any way, shape, or form. No matter how you dispute, no matter how many items you dispute, no matter who you dispute with, no matter what the type of the account is that you dispute, all of those things are not going to affect your credit score in any way, shape, or form. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, as you're going through this entire process of disputing something, you're going to realize that depending on what you're disputing or what you're disputing for is going to determine what another person can see. So, for example, anytime that you have an open dispute, whatever that item is, depending on what you're looking for, typically this is only when, honestly, it's only when you're looking for mortgages. Are they not able to see certain items over a certain amount? Okay. So typically, like this is how it works in Illinois. If you're disputing something and it's typically over $2,000 or over $1,000, but typically what I've seen is over $1,000 to $2,000 or more, then whatever that item is, it's not factored into your mortgage score because it's in an open dispute. While it's in an open dispute, they, I would say the lender, they're looking at your score as if you did not dispute that item. Does that make sense? So, for example, let's say your credit score is a 600. This is with the item, not disputed at all. Now, when you open up a dispute, and again, no matter how you dispute, that automatically opens up a dispute. When you open up the dispute, that item is not calculated in your mortgage score. Okay. So your mortgage lender is going to see typically a higher score. However, if that ends up being the case, then they typically say, hey, I need you to close out these disputes because when I'm running it through the AUS, that's what mortgage lenders use when you are looking for a home. And guys, this is not necessarily about home ownership. This is about when you're disputing an account and then you're trying to figure out how my score has actually been affected. Once you do that, they're going to be able to see that score. But once you close out that dispute, now the score is going to go back to what it was as if you never opened a dispute. Okay. So disputing itself does not affect the score. It's going to be typically the results of the dispute as well. So, for example, if you dispute a negative account and you feel that it's inaccurate, or you just disputed it because you wanted to dispute it and see if it was going to get removed, let's be real, right? So, if that happens, then now obviously, if that's a negative account and it gets removed off of your credit report, now your score is going to increase. So the result from that dispute was that item was removed. In that case, it will affect your credit score. Okay. So that's exactly how disputing is going to work when you are disputing something on your credit report. Okay. So to answer your question, does it affect your score? It depends on what you're disputing and what you're disputing for. But outside of mortgages, if you're disputing an auto loan, that's not going to factor in or out of trying to get a car. If you're disputing a credit card, that's not going to factor in or out getting approved for that credit card. Only with mortgages, depending on what you dispute, and typically it's the dollar amount. They don't care if you got 20 items in dispute, it's the dollar amount. If something's over 1,000, I believe, 2,000, somewhere around that range, then or more, typically that's not going to factor into the mortgage scores. Okay. Let's go to the next point that I have. Where can you dispute your credit reports? Okay, this is very interesting because a lot of people always have, a lot of questions on this. So let's go into it. So there's a lot of different ways that you can actually do a dispute. Some people go the old school route, and I don't know how they're able to keep up with these numbers because you still can fax certain disputes as well too. not too many of the bureau's departments even take fax. No, I'm sorry, disputes via fax anymore. But what has been a slight increase is people calling the credit bureaus to dispute over the phone. Let's talk about that. When you dispute over the phone, there's nothing wrong with disputing over the phone. Let me start off by saying that. But the thing is that too many of us are doing the same things. Okay. Everyone is saying that this is not my account. I'm not saying what you guys are saying is wrong because that could most definitely not be your account. What I'm saying is don't forget the whole purpose of disputing. The whole purpose of disputing is to dispute inaccurate information. Now, again, don't get me wrong. I know you guys want to get negative items removed off your credit report. We get that. No shame in that, right? The thing is that when it's truly when it's truly accurate and you do that, now essentially it kind of waters down the disputing game. But don't worry. I mean, I know everyone's going to keep doing it anyway. But my point is that sometimes you guys are disputing the wrong items. So, for example, and this could be a video by itself, when you guys are when you go to the dealership and you try to go get a car, and then you end up disputing the bank that actually approved you. Did you know that sometimes a dealership lets people take cars and they have not yet confirmed the loan and everything? Everything's just looking good, but just to confirm the sale, they let the person drive off with the car. Now you're probably like, well, how often does this happen? Maybe about 15 to 20% of the time. Or I'll go up to another scale. About 30% of the time, when you go to a dealership and you drive off the lot, sometimes they'll have you come back to re-sign paperwork or to update paperwork because that means that another bank gave better numbers to the dealership, typically, right? Or it could have been the same bank and the numbers could have changed. Either way, my point is that you guys sometimes are disputing companies that you might need. Okay, you're disputing it happens all the time. I get it. People don't want to have all these inquiries. But when that does happen, typically you guys are going to run out. I won't say run out of disputes. You can always dispute as many times as you want to, but you want to make sure that it actually makes sense. Because if you guys are disputing something and it is actually factual, like for example, an inquiry, if you get approved for that auto loan and now they say, okay, we just got this dispute that came in, now it's fraudulent, right? So now they're going to cancel. This has happened before. They will cancel the auto loan because think about it. You filled out an application, whether it was you or not, application was filled out, credit was ran, and you just signed for an auto loan. Now that bank gets a request from the credit bureaus that was potentially fraud. Now, guess what they're thinking? Well, we gonna get this car back. It has happened time and time again because people dispute the wrong accounts. In short, do not dispute accounts that you have open currently. Okay. I'm going to say that again. Do not dispute inquiries that are attached to accounts, okay, that you currently have open. What's going to happen is you raise the red flag. You potentially get the accounts closed, and that's credit cards, auto loans, mortgages, personal loans. People dispute these inquiries attached to the accounts because I get it. You're trying to get the inquiry removed. But the same company that just gave you the money is the same company that just got a request saying that it was fraud, that it was identity theft, that you said the account wasn't yours, that you said you didn't authorize the inquiry. You can't have the best of both worlds. Now, does that mean it's going to happen all the time? Not necessarily, but the chances are high that it has happened. Now, some of you guys are probably thinking, well, Calvin, that's never happened to me before. Well, that's because you looked at your own personal credit report. I've seen over 10,000 credit reports, and there have been times in which people, it doesn't happen all the time. I'll say about good, man, maybe about 10% of the time, and that's a pretty decent number of people that have to, that have to prove that they are them to keep the accounts open, or sometimes they'll just close the account in general. Okay, guys? So you want to make sure that you guys are staying on top of this. Okay. So the next piece is going to be, can credit disputes be done online? Okay, guys. So now, technically, yes. Anytime that you do a dispute online, whether it's through creditkarma.com, whether it's through any of these credit bureaus, most credit bureaus or most credit monitoring applications will let you dispute online. If you are not able to do so, they're really trying to help you. Here's why. In most states, if you dispute online, you give up your legal obligation to take that company to court later down the line. Now, again, This is an old law. Some states still run it and some states don't. Okay. But you need to look up exactly how that's going to work for the Fair Credit Reporting Act as it pertains to your state, because some states fight certain laws and some don't care at all. Okay. And some just kind of try to keep up with the times. But again, look up to see what's going to be about your state. But again, if you don't want to have to do all that, say, man, listen, I'm not going to look nothing up. Okay, cool. Well, in that case, don't dispute online. But when you dispute online, even though you get it's the easiness of disputing online, it's absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, you do give up that legal obligation if they do decide to end up taking you to court. All right. D Pitt says facts usually stated in their arbitration clause, right? So again, as these things play a role inside of your success, here's another thing I want to tell you that a lot of people in the credit industry won't tell you. Okay. And that is sometimes you're going to dispute something and sometimes it's going to come off. Sometimes you're going to dispute something and sometimes it won't come off. Now, are there ways to try to get your credit wiped and things of that sort? Listen, there are. But at the same time, as a bank, typically there aren't 20-year-olds getting their credit wiped because they just kind of just got started with credit. It's usually going to be people that's in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s that's so concerned about trying to get all these negative items removed off their credit reports. Here's the problem. Let's put yourself in the bank's shoes, okay? Now you're the bank. I'm a 40-year-old person. I'm not really 40, but this is for entertainment purposes only, really knowledge purposes. But either way, I'm 40 years old, and you now look at my credit report. It's completely wiped. There's nothing on there at all. I got a couple of credit builders, right? What's the first thing coming to your mind? Mind you, you can't see that I'm a black man. I know some of you guys are probably thinking, like, what does that have to do with anything? Oh, you'd be surprised. So, but either way, what is the bank going to think? A 40-year-old man that has a couple of credit builders that has no credit at all. They're probably thinking, this guy is literally just starting to build credit. Do we want to have that risk? Okay. But banks aren't stupid. Okay. Because you know why? See, credit reports are the only things that consumers have access to. But banks have access to platforms we don't have access to. One of those platforms is like the mortgage lenders use, is called Fraud Guard. It's where they can see public record databases. So you can't erase these public record databases. Now, even if there are, don't get me wrong, can you get on LexisNexis and do certain things? You most definitely could. But LexisNexis is not the only platform that has this stuff. There are apps built every day, websites built every day, processes change every day. There are so many companies that are selling public information. There's a website called blockshopper.com. It shows you who owns a property, right? Then there's also a website called truepeoplesearch.com. It shows you all of people's information for free. Both of these websites are. But there are some websites connected to the same database as these websites, but guess what? They're charging people. It's no different. So you're probably saying, well, I could just easily Google myself and I can find certain things. You most definitely could. My point is, guys, these banks will always, always, always be 10 to 20 steps ahead. And when you think that they're not, they really are. They're just changing things on the back end, okay? And either way, my point is saying this is that you have to understand that there's no risk in disputing and things of that sort, but you just got to make sure that as you're disputing that things actually got to know that it makes sense. So if you're going to continue to dispute items, you got to make sure that things are going to make sense as you guys are going through the entire process of improving your credit score, because at the end of the day we want to have we want to have a higher credit score. We got goals that we want to accomplish and we want to go ahead and get things done. Guys, remember, this year is all about growth. I want you guys to put that in the comments. Growth. Okay. It's all about growth. It's all about saying, okay, what do I want to do? What are my goals? What am I looking to accomplish? Everybody's talking about having a perfect credit score or just improving your credit score overall. What are you going to do with that score? You know how many 20-year-olds, they want to have good credit, but they don't know why. You have 30-year-olds that want to have credit, but they don't know why. Some people want to have a high limit credit card. You're not going to use it. I mean, you're going to blow it on trips and stuff like that, but you're really not going to use it the way it's intended to be used. Are you really going to buy property? Are you really going to lower your car payment? Let's start talking about what are we going to do with our credit scores. We talk so much about, let me get this negative item removed. Let me go ahead and do this and let me do that. What are you going to do with it? If you're just going to have a credit score and you're not going to maximize that credit score, you're not going to invest in that credit score, you're not going to do anything with that credit score, then you're just wasting your time. But if you want to know, then that's perfectly fine, because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you are able to accomplish your credit goals. Okay, guys? So, but that's what it's all about, guys, is that it's all about growth. This is the year 2023 that we put our feet on the ground, all 10 toes on the ground, and say, what is it that we want? Now, credit's not going to give you guys everything that you want, but it's one of those things that you at least want to have in place. Did you know that the American credit system is only in America? Now, the closest that's going to come to us is probably what's going to be happening in Dubai. But for the most part, most of these other countries don't have a credit system. Was that China just came out with a similar credit system? My point is that in America, all you got to do is show proof that you've paid a few people on time, and they will let you borrow thousands upon thousands of dollars in hopes that you pay it back. And here's the crazy part. You guys ready? Even if you mess up your credit, even if you mess it up, you guys do know this, because some people don't know this. Write this down. You can rebuild your credit without disputing anything off of your credit. I'm going to say that one more time. You can dispute anything off, I'm sorry, you can build your credit without disputing anything on your credit report. A lot of people don't know that. And you could do that by building positive accounts, guys. That's why I'm talking about the YouTube membership. You guys got to start asking the right questions. You have to start surrounding yourselves with people that's all about growth. You can't grow if the people that are around you are not trying to grow. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that you can't hang around certain people, you can't have certain friends. Live your life. But just do know that you get one life. And during this one life, you want to say, okay, what are my goals? And if your goals are lined up with credit and that's going to help you get there, I want to help you get there. And with this YouTube membership, you'll be able to get your questions answered, okay? Because let's face it. Let's take me out of the equation. Let's say that, hey, you know what? I don't want to get a YouTube membership. I don't want to talk to Calvin. I don't want to get my credit questions answered. You're going to have credit questions whether you watch me or not. And you're either going to get those questions answered by someone that has the answer, right? Because I have most of those answers, okay? But even if I didn't have the answer, check this out. You now have to research that information in hopes that you find someone that's going to give you the right answer. Some of you guys are still watching people on social media that's telling you not to pay your collections, right? Isn't that crazy? Listen, it's hard to find people that say don't pay your collections and then they have assets, right? They have mortgages, they have cars, right? I get that. Sometimes you can get away with that. Everyone's situation is not yours, right? So you're like, man, they told me don't pay this collection. There are sometimes, guys, you got to pay the collection. There are sometimes, guys, if you don't, see, that's the thing. People got to start talking about what happens if you don't get the collection removed from your credit report. Let's be honest. Has anyone ever disputed something and it didn't come off? All of us have. This is nothing. It's not you. It's not you. But I gotta be honest. I don't like sending people off. Okay. Now, have I gotten things removed? Yeah. One of our YouTube members got his bankruptcy removed, right? Again, we helped him do that. We'll talk about that later this week. But what I'm saying is that even though that ends up being the case, you're gonna always have credit questions, guys. Let's get those questions answered. Okay. Let's get those questions answered. Some of you listen. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and step away from the live. Let's go ahead and stop. Let's go ahead and step away from the live. I want you guys to go ahead and become YouTube members right now. I know you guys got that question that you want to get answered. We're going to do a members only live later on this week. Okay. So it's either going to be no later than Saturday, but probably going to be Friday or so. But we're going to do another members only live this week. Let's go ahead and get all of your credit questions answered. Now, how do you guys get started? All you guys got to do is go to the YouTube channel, go to type in 850 Club. You'll see the big blue, with the house and 850 Club. You got to subscribe and then you have to join. I'm not trying to get us another subscriber. You have to subscribe in order to join. That's not my rule. That's YouTube. Okay. But either way, guys, we have over 1,000 free credit videos. So even if you said, Calvin, you know what? I'm not trying to add another bill. I understand. It's not a bill though. It's an investment. When was the last time you invested in yourself? right? I'm not talking about those Balenciaga shoes you bought that's in the corner. I'm not talking about those red bottom shoes. I'm not talking about that, no, that name brand stuff in the closet. I'm not talking about the car you got outside, right? Because we know those are not going to make us money, right? Well, I put it on Turo. Eventually, it's going to die out, okay? My point is that when was the last time you invested in yourself where it's a long-term investment? We get a lot of short-term items, liabilities, right? You think it's an asset. It's only an asset if it's making you money, right? But don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking if you've done these things. I'm saying, when's the last time you've invested in yourself, right? It's time to invest in yourself. I want you guys to put in the comments, invest. You got to invest. And if you're going to invest, you got to start by investing in yourself. You guys got credit questions, right? You guys got financial questions. Let's get those questions answered. Or it's cool. If you want to keep asking your family, go ahead and keep doing that. You want to go ahead and keep asking your pastor, keep doing that. You want to keep asking the question on Facebook, keep on doing that. If that's what works for you. But you're going to find out, and don't get me wrong, there are some people that truly, honestly want to help you succeed and win, but they don't know your scenario. They're going to tell you based on what they've seen. The average person has probably seen one or two credit reports. That's theirs, and they'll probably have I'm talking about the conversation about credit in general. Most of the time, they're not talking to more than 2 or 3 people about credit in general, about just financial goals in general, right? So if that's the case, then they say, okay, you know what? Let me start making sure I want to do X, Y, Z. Am I on track to do X, Y, Z? I'll let you know if you are. You know, I talked to a guy today, and I'll end with this. The guy said, man, you know what? I was at church yesterday, and you literally answered my prayers. This is when I talked to him today. He says, you literally answered my prayers. And I'm like, man, that's a lot for me. To be totally honest, that's a lot for me, right? But I'm saying that to say that he has a goal that he thought that he was not able to accomplish. And when I talked to him today and I asked him 3 or 4 questions, I said, oh man, you'll be ready for homeownership in about 90 days or so. He says, are you serious? I said, yeah, I'm dead serious. But my credit score's a 493. I don't care if you're I don't care if you're a 300 credit score, a 300 credit score, a 400 credit score, a 500 or 600. You can accomplish your goals with the right game plan. Don't give up. Some of you guys are giving up too easily. You don't want your kids to give up. Why are you guys giving up? We are adults. We have access to information. Some of you guys are watching me right now on Instagram. Some of you guys watch me right now on Facebook. Some of you guys are in our first time home buyers group on Facebook. And then some of you guys are watching us on our beloved YouTube channel, right? However, I'm saying all this to say that you can most definitely accomplish your goals. The information is going to be out there, okay? And if this is your first time watching me and saying, man, this is some guy just trying to get me to come on board to the YouTube channel. No. We got over 1,000 free videos. So trust me, whatever you think, whatever you're going through, it's on our YouTube channel. That I promise you. However, if you're like, hey, Calvin, listen, I'm at this point in my credit journey. I'm rebuilding. I'm getting out the 5s. I'm getting out the 6s. I'm getting out the 7s. I'm trying to get that high limit credit card. I'm trying to lower my car payment. I'm trying to get a new car. I'm trying to buy a house. I'm trying to buy rental property. How can I do that? Tell me, how can I do that? It's time for you to have that game plan, guys. I want you guys to put in the comments, game plan. It's time to get a game plan, guys. It's time to stop winging it. Some of y'all are winging it. Some of y'all are just hoping for the best. Some of you guys you look up, you watch one video, you say that's the answer. You got to watch multiple videos. You got to become a student again. Some of you guys don't want to be students anymore. Some of you guys don't say, listen, I'm done with school. That doesn't mean that you're done with learning. You got to keep learning. Learning equals growth. If you're not learning, you already know which direction you're going, right? So that's the thing. You either have a plan or guess what? Get ready for this one. You're part of somebody else's plan. I'm going to say that again. Either you're going to have a plan or you're going to be part of somebody else's plan. But just do know this. You will most definitely be in that scenario, in that situation. Guys, let's make it happen. Let's get the ball rolling, okay? And again, even if you're not ready for the YouTube membership, don't worry. It's going to always be here. I'm just saying, let's talk about your personal situation. Let's get the ball rolling for you, okay, guys? Was any of this helpful? Listen, let me know if this was helpful. If this was helpful, put your favorite emoji inside the comments. Let me know if any of this information was helpful, okay, guys? So I greatly appreciate you guys for being here. And of course, we got some future homeowners inside the group, inside the chat. But guys, if this was helpful, go ahead and put inside your inside the comments your favorite emoji, any emoji. Put the fire emoji up in there. Let me know that this was helpful, guys. Either way, let's go ahead and move forward. Let's go ahead and get you guys in front of your goals. And I'll see you guys at the top, and we'll see you guys on